coming to the zone here. 10 back. 5. Green, green, green.
Hello and welcome back to the Hot Lap, your home for everything INRS racing. I'm Clark Franz, driver of the number 15 Chevrolet Camaro for Roadrunner Motorsports.
I'm Tony Japs, driver of the number 42 Chevrolet Camaro for Apex Motorsports.
I'm Vernon Broadbeck, driver of number 10 Chevrolet Camaro for Roadrunner Motorsports.
Corey Bunch, number 77, Full Throttle Motorsports.
And this week we're joined by the number 99 Ford Mustang of Tyler Lehm. Currently sits 6th place in the standings, and he's our Week 11 winner at Martinsville. How are you, Tyler?
I'm doing good. How are y'all this evening?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining us, man. So first off, congrats on being in the playoffs, and really appreciate having you on here.
Thank you. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm excited to get going.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So, as always, we're going to jump right into the most recent race this week. Just got done with Darlington. Congrats, Jordan Booth, on yet another win. Vernon coming in strong with another top 3. How'd that strategy call go for you?
It actually played out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I just couldn't stay tired to save my life. But the guys who pitted, the only one who actually got around me on that the other strategy was Jordan. And obviously he went on to win the race, so good for him. He made that work. He ended up coming down right around the same time we did. So he got fresh tires, made them work, and then jumped back on the strategy that we were on because fuel saving to the end wasn't. Ty Bostic made it work. I'm pretty sure Corey made it work. I'm not 100% positive on that one, but it was very rough. Ty went from the lead to finishing 6th, barely making it on fuel, and Corey finished 10th. So the strategy was pretty good for us. I'm not going to complain. I wish I had a little speed on the back end of the runs.
That's another heck of a finish. You've been kind of silently, I shouldn't even say silently, definitely been just putting up consistent after consistent finish here, closing out the season, and it's looking good for you heading in here to this first round of the playoffs. Now, Tyler, how much tire wear were you experiencing at Darlington?
You know, obviously it's Darlington. It's like a cheese grater on tires, but I was praying we kept getting the long runs because even though I'm a guy where I feel like most tracks where it comes to tire wear, I'm going to drop like a rock, like Bristol earlier in the season. But at Darlington, man, just something about the style. Just once you find that groove, longer the run went, better I felt.
Corey, you squeaked out a top 10, but you were a lap down, probably not quite the finish you wanted. Was it tire wear that was causing you issues, or what happened?
No, it was a matter of fact of just being in traffic and not going anywhere. I want that race back so bad. I get so pissed by just thinking about it now because, you know, I feel like we was the best car in the beginning of that stage, won the stage, and then it was one of those pit stops that me and Booth, when we pitted, he was able to drive through traffic and I couldn't, and that was the end of my race. And so no, our only really strategy was just trying to save fuel and go long, and that didn't work out either. I fell all the way down to 10th. So just you think I'd be happy with a top 10, but with the car I had, I'm pretty miserable with it. So.
And number 77 Best Buy car looked pretty nice, though. I will tell you that.
Oh yeah, it definitely looked good, but God.
Tony, P19, not exactly where you want to be, but it was enough to get you all the way into the playoffs. Congrats on that. You got into some trouble late, right?
I got into some trouble early. No, we were just after the stage, and I got tight off of 1 and 2 when I knocked the wall down, and Whitley was right behind us and didn't have anywhere to go, ran right into me, and it was my fault for hitting the wall, but junked both of our cars, and I spent the whole race moving out of people's way. So if there's one track I don't want to do that at, it's here. The only other place I can think of is Bristol because it's a pain to get out of somebody's way here.
I try not to laugh, but it seems like every time that Tony gets into something, Whitley's somehow involved in it, and I can't help but to laugh, but I feel bad at the same time for Whitley. That man's been miserable. I'm telling you, and I thought I was bad.
The bad thing is, I got tight and hit the wall because I adjusted my line because I was trying to let him by.
Corey, I think you brought it up last week how Whitley has had nothing but bad luck since the new, EOL penalty along with the no fast repair. And this week definitely did not flip the script because I was tuned in for most of the race and I tuned out for a little bit and I came back and he was broadcasting and I'm like, well, that's not good.
Yeah, he definitely could use that fast repair for that race as well. So make it, 7 races now or something like that since we've got away with it? I think about 7.
Well, he's sitting in 14th, starting out. Cut line doesn't really mean much the first week because everybody's separated by just a couple points, but hopefully you can get that luck turned around. Now, I watched most of the race on YouTube. I just wasn't able to race myself. I thought it was one of the better races that I've really gotten to watch just because, once again, fuel strategy coming into it this year. It seems like we've had a lot of fuel strategy plays this year, and this time it was Ty Bostic absolutely draining the fuel tank for everything it was worth at the end. He was running first, dropped back to 4th, and then ended up running out of gas in the last few corners and still limped it to a 6th place finish. That was a really enjoyable one to watch. And with Darlington being throwback week, I'm going to ask you guys who you think had the best paint scheme. Tyler, I'm going to start with you first.
Well, obviously that 99 car looked very sporty, but I won't cast my vote for myself. I am dead torn between the 30 of Alex Murphy and that Ryan Newman / Jeff Burton, whichever you prefer, cat throwback, versus the silver bullet Brendan Hayes in that 40 car.
Corey, whose did you like the most?
Boost was pretty good. I like Boost with the old Tony Stewart throwback on there. Kind of pretty fitting too is that he goes and he wins in that car as well. But if I had to take a top first place vote, I'd say Boots Tony Stewart throwback.
What about you, Vernon?
Well, I know who had the talk of the YouTube chat in that race because every time I look over, you and my brother were going back and forth about the Viagra car. So I'm not gonna vote for myself and vote for the Viagra car, the Mike's Hard Viagra Chevrolet. But it was hilarious. I was laughing pretty much the whole time. I look over and I kind of read what you guys are putting in there. So that was hilarious. But I loved seeing that silver bullet. I didn't like seeing it wreck right in front of me when him and Ty got into it with each other, but that 40 Sterling Marlin throwback was real nice.
And Tony, what about you?
I'm torn. Joseph Musow had a really nice Davey Allison throwback. Looked really slick, and it pretty much to the T matched the car from back in, I think it was 88. But I'm going to have to go with that silver bullet.
I've got 3 that I really enjoyed. First one's Michael Whitley's machine that I'm pretty sure. Do you guys know, did he put that one together himself?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Yeah, I'm guessing so because he does some pretty awesome paint schemes. He posted the side-by-side comparison with the original versus his, and I mean, he was just absolutely spot on with it. It was an awesome job. Second, my teammate, Vernon, you already mentioned it, the number 10 Viagra car. I ended up making Rick break character while he was announcing because I typed in YouTube chat, I said, that Viagra scheme goes hard. And he started laughing in the middle of the broadcast. But I think number 1, and I agree with some of you guys, is Jordan Booth. Not only is it a nice throwback, but the change in what would be mobile into the 40 XLI was so well done. I didn't even catch it at first until they gave a first-person perspective of a guy behind him, and that's when I realized it was a 40 XLI car, and that was awesome looking. And me and Tyler were in the practice race tonight, and I don't know about you, Tyler, but I thought his paint scheme for this week's even cooler.
As an RFK fan of this real-life NASCAR racing, not a big fan of that Chase Briscoe win, so I'll pass on that one.
Can I throw an honorable mention out there for just being correct as far as how the car looked?
No. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Jordan Wetzel with his Jeff Bodine throwback. was on the side by side was if you take the number away, you really couldn't tell the difference.
I didn't catch that one. I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, he had a old Levi Garrett Jeff Bodine scheme.
Oh, sweet.
You can say that about so many of the cars from that race, though. I mean, I thought we had a
Yeah.
really just terrific looking field.
Yeah, I think the turnout for people actually running throwback schemes was tremendous, and we've had that all year long with the patriotic schemes, the band schemes, and then now this throwback. Now heading on to topic 2, put it out. So just a reminder for everybody, I'm going to give statements, not necessarily saying they're mine, but I'm going to give you one to decide whether or not you're a green flag, as in you agree with it. Yellow flag, you're on the fence. Red flag, completely disagree. And Corey and Tony wanted a white and a black flag. So if you guys need those, you can throw those out too. Tyler, since you're the guest, we're going to start with you for the first one. And it's going to be caution laps should be counted during stage breaks towards the total number of laps.
No question, green flag. I am a fan of simulation style, like anything that makes me feel immersed, like I'm having a real experience, I'm for. So NASCAR counts caution flags. We do it too.
I guess I'm more asking in a way of racing in general, not necessarily us following NASCAR, but do you think, because if say NASCAR stopped counting them, then I'm taking it that you would want it to be the same way, right? So I'm guessing, do you think NASCAR should count those laps?
But you know what? In that case, that changes my answer because nothing annoys me more watching a race. Stage ends at lap 50, and they don't start racing again until lap 58. I'm like, why did we just waste 8 laps? So when you put it that way, red flag. Put it out. Yeah.
Corey Bunch, you're not known to have opinions, but we'll let you answer this one now.
What's the flag that I don't care for either or? Yellow flag? Yeah,
Yellow
sure.
or white?
Yeah,
okay.
let me just get the yellow flag on it because I don't care either or. I mean, whether if I'm watching it, if they count it or not, or if I'm racing, they count it or not. It don't bother me.
I'm kind of with Corey. I'm indifferent. I understand the point of, hey, the stage is going to be lap 50. We're going back green at 55. But at the same time, all the other caution laps count. So, I'm happy either way.
Yeah, I'm gonna go red flag in real life. Too many. Especially if the caution comes, stage ends 150, caution comes out 148, and then you don't go back green till 158. It's just too much to me. Us following it, I'll give green flag because we do follow the Cup Series, and iRacing we don't pace that long before we go back green. I'm gonna go one step further, and I'm gonna go red flag on the stage breaks being about the same amount of laps. Like NASCAR really needs to start separating them and bringing strategy back into races because there's just no I don't feel like there's a whole lot of strategy for these Cup guys when it comes to what they're going to do at the stage. Like I don't know. I wish they had the stages at different periods.
I mean, they could always just get rid of the caution and count the stage and keep it green.
I would like that too. I think
I'm
that'd be
okay
a
with
lot
that.
better. But then you'd have people. Well, they're not getting stacked up. They're too spread out. It's just boring. But I mean that's because it's racing.
Well, the average viewer who just tunes in, once a week or once every couple weeks to watch the Cup Series, they want to see that side by side packed racing. They're not like race enthusiasts like we are. We spend how many hours a week practicing and then racing, where we understand the entire strategy behind what it took to get that person so far out in front or so far behind the leader. I don't think they'll ever go back to not having stages. I guess only time will tell, though. Now, Vernon, I'll stick with you for this next one. Same thing, kind of just staying on the topic of NASCAR in general, because obviously we follow what they do. But Atlanta's reconfiguration was good for the sport.
Yellow flag because I mean it has produced good races. it's so weird seeing that style of super speedway or whatever you want to call it. I do wish that they would have kept the banking normal and it wouldn't have forced this style of racing on it. Because I mean, we have Talladega and Daytona twice a year. We don't need more.
Well, Corey, knowing how much you hate Daytona, what are your thoughts on it?
Black flag, Atlanta. I'm gonna go ahead and add that list in there as well, along with Daytona and Talladega. Super speedways. Done with it. Go back to what it was before.
Not surprised by that opinion from you one bit. Tony?
I think we need to bring back Old Atlanta. Old Atlanta was a lot of fun. So I don't like the way that New Atlanta is configured. It's just manufactured entertainment. Old Atlanta would, especially with this car, Old Atlanta probably would have been amazing.
I'm kind of hoping that with, and a lot of people will say that, once the track ages, it'll get better. It needs to hurry because
I don't think that'll.
yeah, I know. I'm not hopeful for it either, but
Not with the
you know,
banking.
Well, as the track ages, the tire wear is going to get a little worse. But you're still going to have that pack. It's basically going to be a high banked Michigan.
It's the super speedway until they change it.
Have you guys watched the recent races at Atlanta? I mean, they said it was the hottest ticket in NASCAR. I completely agree with them. I mean, that's one of the most exciting races on the calendar at this point.
I think it's an exciting race to watch. I think racing it is. I feel like I need to wear a mouth guard because I'm gritting my teeth so much. I mean, it is just nonstop. Every lap, you are door to door, bumper to bumper. Like even more stressful than a Daytona or Talladega to me.
At least Daytona and Talladega, you have somewhere to go if something happens.
Yeah, if you're in the high line at Atlanta, well, I mean, or even the low line, and something happens around you, have fun bringing it back to the hauler.
that'll be me out there lap 5.
Whitley too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, now I think they've updated the car with this iRacing update, so maybe then the car maybe should be a little stronger for. He's not going to total his engine when he hits someone at 31 miles an hour. So
That's all right. Somehow Whitley will get totaled off my either front or rear bumper somehow.
Now, the last topic here for the Put It Out segment of the show. I'm going to start with you, Corey, since you won here at Richmond. I want to know your thoughts on NASCAR ditching the spring race in Richmond for the race in Mexico.
if people would just assume that I'm just all kind of bitter about it because of Richmond going to 2 dates instead of 1, but only because of my recent success. But actually, I'm pretty okay with it. I mean, and with it going to a road course, I'm all for it. I mean, green flag. I mean, one thing I like about with short tracks, I like road courses. So I mean, that's just change it up a little bit. So I'm all for it.
I'm gonna give it the green flag. I think that it's gonna bring a bunch of new fans in. I think it's gonna be good for the sport. I kind of wish that they were going north instead of south up to Montreal, but in the end, Richmond realistically hasn't been the best race in a long time. So outside of Austin Dillon taking out Logano and Hamlin, you probably can't tell me what else happened in that race.
Stenhouse.
So, and that. So, I'm okay with it. I like it.
Yellow flag. I'm glad we're getting rid of Richmond. Why another road course? It's like, I mean, it's just road course after road course anymore. What are we trying to be here? Are we trying to be Formula One?
Well, I would rather have another road course than super speedway.
Are we trying to be like the Indy Series? I mean, I just like, yeah, obviously I'd rather have a road course than another super speedway, but
You're not reading the script right. We need more road courses so Shane Van Gisbergen can beat up on those wobblers.
I know. It's just like, to me, road courses, they're cool, but bring North Wilkesboro onto the schedule full time. Put North Wilkesboro's there. No, don't put a road course. Like, just Give us more short tracks, but but take away the second date of short tracks. All right, Martinsville, you can keep too. I'm fine with Martinsville. I do think Martinsville produces good racing, a lot better than Richmond in my opinion. But you know, we could use more short tracks in the schedule.
What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, I was hard green flag initially, but listen to that last little point. I do wish for not another short track or another super speedway, even though I love racing them both. I wish we'd have another mile and a half, which if 10 years ago me would have heard present me saying that, probably would have slapped myself. But yellow flag on it. I'm excited to see NASCAR go into a new market. I'm excited to drive the track in iRacing, but as someone from Virginia, I'm sad to be losing that local race.
That's if iRacing scans the track in time.
You're
Big
taking
if.
away my next question. I was gonna ask Tyler, if iRacing doesn't scan it in time, what track are you hoping the league replaces it with?
Gosh, that one wasn't on my pre-sent list of questions. You're really putting me on the spot here.
It's
I
favorite thing
think
to do.
replacing a road course with a road course is fun. If we're talking just what I would love to see, let's go to Monza. That'd be a really fun race.
Vernon, are you wanting Road of America, or what are you taking?
I mean, if we're going road course for road course, give me Road America 100% of the time, all day, every day. Love that track. I do. I might be a little biased because I won there year one in this league, but either that or give me Kentucky. I think Kentucky deserves an opportunity to be back on the schedule if we can't go to Mexico. But I'm against road courses, but I do like Road America.
Corey Bunch.
So road course, right?
Whatever you want to replace it with.
Oh man, if we're talking any kind of road course on the iRacing service right now, God, that's a tough one because I'd have to look and see what I have raced in the past that would be daggone amazing. But I have an oval and I have a road course. But I'm having a hard time trying to pick from the two. So I'll just Tony, go ahead, and I'll let me think on it because I'm gonna try to get my point of cue. So Tony, go ahead, go ahead before me. So
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, Tony. While you're thinking about that, how is it not a simple choice for you to say Richmond? You won it twice. Why would you not just replace it right back with what was there?
nah, it's time for change.
All right, Tony, you're up. That way Corey can think.
Yeah. So the plausible answer is we'll probably have a bye week that week. But if we're going to go to a road course, geez, let's go to Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca would be a odd but fun road course. If we're going to take it to an oval, let's go to Chicagoland.
Man, Laguna Seca, going through the corkscrew in the cup cars, I don't think there's going to be many people surviving at the end of that race because people are just going to smoke the braking zone, if I had to guess.
I've got one problem with your answer. I'm pretty sure we go to Chicagoland next year anyways.
Do we?
Do we?
Pretty sure.
That's news.
I will get back to you on that.
And Corey, have you thought of an answer?
Yeah. So I know Tyler mentioned about Monza going all the way over there and all the way over there. Let's go further back. Let's go to all the way to Suzuka circuit. Oh man, could you imagine just having those cup cars going tackle a track like that where that's technical? I think that'd be pretty daggone sweet. The better
That would be a blast.
Put the V8 supercars in there too while you're at it. That'd be kind of killer.
Before I give my track I'd like to replace it with, I'm going to jump back to the initial question of what I'm thinking about NASCAR ditching Richmond for Mexico. I'm green flag about NASCAR ditching Richmond just because it doesn't really produce the greatest on-track product. I'm kind of red flag, maybe yellow, I guess, for it being Mexico. I mean, I'm all for the sport expanding. But it's just tough to see struggling tracks in America like Kentucky, or dozens and dozens of short tracks out there that I'm sure, given the funds, could put together one heck of an event. I just would like to see. I'd rather see it at one of those tracks. I'd probably go with Kentucky as well, since it's pretty close to my, where I live.
I was wrong. Chicagoland is not on there.
I-
They were in talks about it. That's what it was. I think that I heard.
Damn it, Vernon! I was getting excited too.
I got myself excited.
Look here, I was over here on the phone, on the computer, doing everything, searching. I like Chicagoland.
Yeah, they were in talks about going back, and then I guess they never did.
Moving on, we're gonna head into talking about the playoff picture. Before we start, I'm gonna run you through the entire standings here. The last person squeezing into the playoffs is our very own Tony Japs in 16th place with 2,000 points. Number 15, Ty Bostic, 2,000 points. Number 14, Michael Whitley, 2,002 points. Eric Jeffers is in 13th place, 2,003 points. In 12th place, starting out just above the cut line, Jacob Musow, 2,004 points. Number 11 is the number 43 Machine with Garrett Walden driving it, the winner of Daytona, 2,005 points. 10th place, Simon Magin, 2,005 points. 9th place, Martin Giroux, 2,006 points. Alex Murphy's in 8th with 2,007 points. Number 40 of Brendan Hayes is in 7th with 2,008 points. Number 6 in 6th place, our guest today, Tyler Lehm, driver the number 99, 2,010 points. 5th place, the Vernon Broadbeck, 2,012 points. 4th place, Alex Forget Berube, 2,018 points. 3rd place, Corey Bunch, 2,033 points. 2nd place, Jordan Wenzel, 2,034 points. And at the top of everybody, with a huge points lead heading into the playoffs, the driver the number 41 car, Jordan Booth. So now that we have all 16 laid out, locked into the playoffs, I want to know if you guys have any standouts in there that kind of surprised you that they squeaked in. And Tyler, since you're the guest, I'll start with you.
Honestly, I'm just going to say myself. When I started this league season, I just wanted to compete and get better throughout the year. I never had designs or dreams that I would end up winning, especially not so early in the season and be locked in from such an early point, and then just be able to focus on getting better without having to worry about that playoff bubble line.
Vernon, does anybody stick out to you in that crowd?
I mean, Simon and Martin both have wins, so they were locked in from a very, very early standpoint. I don't know how they've really fared since those wins. Martin's only got 3 top 10s and 1 top 5, so without his win, I don't think he's in the playoffs. But outside of that, Tony squeaking in again for the 2nd year in a row. I don't know if that's really surprising, but it'll be interesting to see what he does with missing Bristol, because he might not be making it past this round.
I wouldn't have squeaked in if Brogdon didn't decide to come stink up the show one week in Phoenix. I think I'm gonna stick with myself. It was close there. There is, if you look at 4th back, you're one bad race away from being below the cut line. And I'm not too worried about the cut line because I won't be missing Bristol.
Oh. Well, then you way to make me look like a fool.
Well, son of a there goes my parlay.
And Corey, does anybody on that list stick out to you as kind of a bit of a surprise they snuck their way in?
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and just say it. It's Tony. Because I really thought, honest to God, Vince was going to make a run and get that final spot from Tony. But
Yeah, so did I.
I guess a lot of I guess Vince has had more bad luck than Tony did, and Tony was able to squeak through on that. But
Vince
yeah.
and Whitley, terrible luck.
Yeah. Whitley had enough gap, but just kind of saved him. Otherwise, he'd been the one that probably would fall out. And I remember I gave Eric a hard time where I said that I thought that a while back he would be the one that fall out of the playoffs, but he seemed to run a little better. So hopefully he can keep that up.
Him and Whitley kind of flip flopped roles because as soon as you made that comment, he turned it on, and Whitley almost, just like fell off a cliff because he couldn't avoid Tony.
No. It was only me twice.
Now here's where we're not going to make some friends. We're going to pick who you think the first 4 to be eliminated are. Corey, I'll let you make that hard choice first.
You gonna let me choose first? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of tough because we got Atlanta, and 8 times out of 10, I could see Garrett winning that. Because Atlanta's a crapshoot. Watkins Glen, Winslow, he'll get in. What's after that? Bristol. Bristol could be either me or Booth on that, but I could see Simon. I could see Martin. I could see Tony. And if his Bella continues on with no fast repair, I'm gonna say Whitley.
Tony, who are you going to take as the first 4 to be out?
Well, we got Atlanta, so Brendan Hayes and Booth are going to work pretty good together. We got a road course. I'm going to go with Martin and Simon. Whitley. Probably Murphy.
I hate to say it, but Martin, Simon, they'll have to. Simon's got to show up. I know he's missed 7 races, something like that. So if he shows up, he might be able to prove everybody wrong. And obviously, I don't want to see people get eliminated, but I'll go Simon, Martin. I don't know how Ty does. And I guess Atlanta, he probably could have a good run. And Bristol, I think be a toss up. I'm not really sure how he did in the spring. But I'm gonna go Ty, Simon, Martin, and Whitley's really gotta find a way to avoid everything to make it. But Ty finished 11th at Bristol, so he could, but I think Bristol was a whole bunch of avoiding carnage. I know that was one of my downfalls at that track. But I'm gonna go with Whitley makes it. He turns his luck around, and Tony unfortunately does not make it around.
Ooh. You know who did not have a good Bristol in the spring, and that would be you, Tyler.
See, I was fast at Bristol in the spring, but I didn't realize that the cost of being fast was that I was burning my tires to shreds. When I watched the real race on Sunday, I was like, wow, I feel a lot better about myself. But no, Bristol was tough.
Who are you going to take as those first 4 out?
So I'm not going to say any groundbreaking names. I've got Simon, Garrett, Eric, and then Tony. But I will throw out a sleeper. Brendan missed a lot of races over that stretch. I know he's teammates with Jordan. I know he's a really strong driver. And if he shows up, I expect him to go through easy. But that's just the name I wanted to throw out there in case he does have to end up missing another one.
People keep stealing my thunder today. I was going to bring that up. Brendan missed 6 races so far this year. So if history repeats itself with that, I think he's going to have trouble missing a race and still making it through. I'm going to predict now. I think he's going to end up missing 1. Might not be this round, but I think he will. I'm going to go with Brendan Hayes, Garrett Walden, Simon, and I'd probably say Martin would be my 4 that I think are not going to make it through.
I'm just going to throw.
Go ahead.
I'm going to throw this out there. I didn't choose Garrett because Booth, I feel like we'll take that as a challenge and we'll push him to a win at Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying too. Is like Atlanta's right there. So that right there is good as Garrett's. right there.
He-
So
if
that's
if
why I
if Booth
didn't.
if Booth stays committed to him, then yeah, Garrett probably wins Atlanta. But if Booth does what he's supposed to do and goes for wins himself, I don't think Garrett makes it past the round of 16.
You know, another name that didn't get mentioned that none of us mentioned that hasn't been having the best of luck recently, the 19. The 19's been involved in a handful of incidents and been at the back of the pack at the end of a couple of these. So and he's only 8 point. Well, realistically, he's only 14 points above the cut line.
That's true.
He finished dead last at Bristol Spring, but he did disconnect really early on. I'm not sure if that was a manual
Probably got
disconnect or
wrecked
what it
out,
was.
yeah.
He definitely had some excess. Yeah, I guess we'll see there. I'm not sure how he is. How is he on road courses? Do you know?
He's decent on road courses.
Well, let's take a look.
I just think it's a round with so many wild cards. I mean,
His average finish on road courses. Tony, you're gonna eat your words real fast. 22nd.
Oh, never mind.
His average running position is 13th, but his average finish is 22nd. He finished at Chicago 21st, Sonoma 18th, and Coda 29th.
Oh,
I almost feel like Watkins Glen is barely comparable to those other road courses. I mean,
So I think Sonoma is the best comparison to that one, and he finished 18th.
There's too many skilled people in this league that all, I mean, realistically have a good shot at making it through. I mean, I think you have your stereotypical winners like Booth, Wenzel, Bunch. I mean, I think Brendan Hayes finishes second more than anybody in this league, if I had to guess, but I think he's always up there too. Vernon's always in the top 5. I think those are some pretty secure picks. But I think after that, there's a lot of people that are really going to be having some good side-by-side racing and having points battles heading into the final race of each stage as we go through the playoffs. And now we're going to head into Fast Facts. Tyler, since you're the guest, I will be asking you a series of questions. I just want you to answer them.
yes, sir. Let's get into it.
How old are you, man?
I am 24.
24. Make me feel old. Where are you from?
I was born and raised in Virginia Beach, Virginia, still living now in Danville, Virginia.
How far are you from Roanoke?
Roanoke, about an hour and a half drive, but I went to college at Virginia Tech, so that was only maybe 30 minutes.
Okay. My brother lives in Roanoke. That's why I was curious. So you went to VT. So you're a Hokie.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, after this past week.
Well, yeah, it was a rough one versus Vandy, huh? Now, what did you study?
So I went into school wanting to do psychology, but after I got into that, I was like, there's no way I'm going to school more than these 4 years I'm already committed to. So I ended up switching into sports media analytics.
So do you use that degree currently in your profession?
I do. I work for Averett University here in Danville. It's a little D3 college. Love it. Great people. And I'm working in sports information, doing all sorts of stat keeping, story writing. Get to take some pretty pictures here and there too.
Oh, that sounds pretty fun. That sounds like a pretty sweet job, man. How did you get into iRacing?
So during COVID, I would watch a lot of streamers playing iRacing on YouTube and everything, YouTube, Twitch. And finally, maybe a year late, I bit the bullet on getting a PC and have just been in love with it ever since.
You do any other games on your PC besides racing?
No, believe it or not, as much of a waste of money as this may sound like, I have a PlayStation for every other game I want to play. This PC is strictly an iRacing machine.
You know, I kind of wish I could have a PC that was just iRacing so I wouldn't have to change around my setup every time I want to play something else. That would be nice to have one that's dedicated just to racing. What kind of setup do you have on it?
So I have the most bare bones racing setup you can imagine. Outside of the office chair, I was lucky enough. My dad loves my sim racing. He watches every broadcast we do. So he pitched in and got me a little sim seat. But other than that, I've just got the base Logitech wheel and pedals, the PlayStation version, and they've done me well so far.
So if you're not in that setup of yours, what other kind of hobbies do you have?
I might not be good at it, but I'm just addicted to golf. I play nearly every day. I'm not working. I'm around a 20 handicap right now. Just shot a 97 the other day, but out on the golf course or out walking my dog all times.
Do you walk or do you ride?
Walk 100%.
Dedicated. What kind of clubs you got?
I have a TaylorMade driver, TaylorMade Sim 2, Callaway Maverick irons. Got the Titleist Vokey wedges because I'm a snob for my wedges. And then a putter from some brand I never heard of. But every time I walk into that pro shop and see the Scotty Camerons, they whisper to me like the Green Goblin mask.
Yeah, it seems like golf is a real theme here, along with getting into iRacing from COVID. I think just about everybody we've asked here golf's on their time off, and they got into this because they watched the Cup guys do it on TV. Last question I have for you, since you said, well, I guess you said you were watching streamers, but do you watch NASCAR racing yourself?
Absolutely. Don't miss a race if I can help it.
Who do you root for?
Well, in case you didn't pick up on it, for the 99 schemes I run every week. Back in the day, it was Carl Edwards, and might sound ironic, but I've since transitioned to be a Brad Keselowski fan now that he's driving for Roush RFK.
I think Keselowski has probably the funniest interview in NASCAR history when he was hammered after he won the championship, drinking that gigantic beer.
Oh, between that and Kyle Busch is an ass, you gotta love him.
No,
Yeah.
you don't.
I like Brad Keselowski, just not when he's pushing my favorite drivers to the corners at super speedways, because likes to get a little too aggressive, I think. But he's one heck of a racer. Moving on to the last topic, though, we're going to talk about Atlanta as we head there here in just a couple days. Corey, what are your keys to the race as we head in there?
Not die. That'd be a good start off. Make sure you got fuel because you might probably have to save fuel with it being another super speedway. And if something to be realistic about, tire saving. That'd be I think more important than fuel saving. But yeah, that'd be my 3 right there. Oh, and make sure you stay behind Booth because he'll take you to the promised land.
I think it's interesting how, as much as it races like a plate track, it really does chew away at your tires depending on how hard you push it. It just makes for a little added dynamic.
I'm just kind of going by how it was the last time we was at Atlanta, and that was kind of a similar deal. It just ate the tires up, and you had to really knew what you was doing to last as long as you could.
Tyler, what are your keys going to be going in?
First and foremost, avoid the big one. I mean, even though it was a clean race when we were here in the spring, I would be surprised if we get a repeat of that. And then at the same time, track position. It's the playoffs. The standings are tight. You're going to need stage points. So either be at the front, get those stage points, or be at the back, avoid that wreck. If you're anywhere in the middle, I think you're in the war zone. It's a bad place to be.
Definitely track position. I think the closer you're going to be to the front, the safer you're going to be. Tony?
Track position is probably the biggest one. Avoiding the big one because it can get dicey and there's not a whole lot of places to go once they start wrecking in front of you. And the biggest one that I'm surprised nobody said is pit road. There's an unorthodox pit road entrance here at Atlanta. So watch for a few people to get in trouble getting onto pit road.
Make sure no one, when the last lap happens, make sure no one's around that 42 because he might end up hooking somebody on the last lap.
Oh, that was Talladega.
And Vernon.
Just honestly, just staying out of trouble. I mean, that's the huge one is keeping your car clean. Unfortunately, Corey said it best. We're probably going to be saving fuel. And if you know me, which I voiced it last week, right? Last week? Yeah, last week. I am not a fan of saving fuel. But I agree. I don't think it's going to be as clean as it was in the spring. Tony mentioned the pit road. That's a big one too. That is definitely something that you're gonna have to pay attention to, especially on the broadcast, is watching everybody get down onto pit road from turn 3. You got to commit before you get to turn 4, and we'll see how big race control is on that, or how small they are. Does Josh say judge it more strict than he normally would, or does he give you a little leeway with getting all 4 tires underneath that line?
I think he was pretty strict on it in the spring, didn't he? Didn't they let us know in the pre-race meeting that they were going to be black flagging people that didn't follow the NASCAR rules?
Well, Josh was still in car in the spring, so it would have been, he doesn't have that bird's eye view like he will in this coming race.
Yeah, I mean, we follow everything NASCAR does here, so I think it's only right that they enforce that. So hopefully they do. Now, say there's 10 laps left at Atlanta this week. Tyler, you're up contesting for the win. Who do you want behind you pushing you?
So I feel like on the plate tracks, any of the full throttle guys, I mean, they work together as a team. As long as you don't have all 3 or 4 of them lined up, I want one of those guys behind me. Because, I mean, you get that Ford allegiance. I feel like they'll work together. I'll tell you who I don't want behind me. I don't want to see those purple cars behind me because I know they work flawlessly together and they will not think twice about leaving you out to dry.
Yeah, Booth, he does not like sitting behind anybody, so he'll give you about 2 corners, and then he's going to be making a move. Now, flip it around. You're not in first. You're coming towards the later stages of this race. Who would you want to be pushing?
So, yeah, like you said, flip it around. I want to be behind the purple people leaders, Booth or Brendan. Both of them I know can hold a straight line. I mean, Daytona just a couple weeks ago, I was locked to Booth's bumper. I was going to be there until I got wrecked or I could pull out and make a move. So, exact opposite of my answer of who I want pushing me.
A fair enough answer. Tony?
If I'm leading coming to the line, I want Eric behind me. Eric's pushed me to my only super speedway league win I've ever had. So I want Eric or Corey behind me. If we flip it around, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with somebody that I think could be easier to pass in front of me. I just don't know who that is yet.
Vernon, who do you want around you or behind you, pushing you if you're coming in towards the lead?
Pushing me, coming towards the end of the race, going for the win. Obviously, I want my teammates there. Clark, I know you're a really good super speedway driver. I know you're more or less, and I think I try my best to keep it this way. I try my best to keep you in front of me because you're probably about one of the more steady drivers when it comes to keeping the car steady, and I'm a pretty aggressive pusher. So, having you in front of me obviously is going to be my choice of having you in front of me. Eric worked pretty well with me at Daytona, getting around Jordan right there before that caution come out. I know he ain't going to want to stick behind me. Him being 13th in points and going to want that win. But I guess if he had to choose not getting a win and pushing someone to the win, he's probably going to want someone who's up there in points to get the win over somebody who he's fighting for. But obviously, I'm going to want Clark pushing me if I can get that, and then vice versa. I want to push Clark. Either I'm going to push Clark to a win, or I'm going to make a move, and hopefully he doesn't fight me too hard for it.
I think it's a good call there. Corey?
If I'm leading and someone's pushing me, I don't think it's going to matter because I might get hooked and die. Is that answer enough on that?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going with that. Now, as far as me pushing somebody, I'll definitely say Eric because I think we we had a perfect plan for Daytona, and it worked so well until that last caution came out. Then we got separated. But I think just for the fact that how well me and Eric how we worked together in Daytona, almost probably could have had a 1-2 if things went our way, but could have, would have, should have. So I'd say Eric, and plus it help him, get that first win this season. He's overdue for a win. I know it's eating him up. I know he wants that win that bad. So I would sacrifice myself to push him to a win.
If I'm out front leading and I'm not, contesting for a win versus my own teammate, like say for whatever reason Vernon's not up there and has a shot, I want Vince pushing me because neither of us are playoff drivers. And I think it'd be nice to try to sneak out a win. Now, if I'm pushing somebody else, I'd be an idiot to not want to push my teammate to the win. So I'm hoping that's the case here on Thursday. Is hopefully I can pair up with Vernon towards the end of the race and just hope my oil temp doesn't get too high because I'm not going to be moving away from that rear bumper. Tony, would you say that this is a more or less stressful race than a place like Daytona or Talladega?
More stressful. Just for the simple fact that at Talladega, you have a lot of track and you can get, 5 and 6 wide if you really want to. And you have a lot of room to avoid other people's mistakes. Daytona, while it's not as wide as Talladega, you still have room to get away from people. Atlanta, there's not a lot of room to get away from people. 3 wide at Atlanta gets really tight real quick. So if you can be riding around to the back and they wreck in front of you and you don't have anywhere to go. And if you get on the brakes, you better hope the people behind you get on the brakes.
Yeah, and if a wreck happens further up in a corner, your spotter might call out car slow high or what have it, but you have horrible field of view at that track. Corey, I'm guessing your answer is probably just going to be you hate them all, but do you think this is more or less stressful than an actual super speedway?
Well, just for the fact that it's on the playoffs, it's going to be more stressful because keep in mind, no fast repairs. So if you get caught up in a wreck, that's whatever 20-something point gap I have on the cut line. That could be gone just like that. So, yeah, it'd be more stressful, depending on if you can even make it out of here alive or not. But I'm expecting that's going to happen. So my 2 best chances are going to just perform well at the Glen and Bristol and go from there.
Tyler, coming off of a practice race, are you thinking this is more stressful as well?
Well, I would just like to say I tried my best to make people very stressed in that practice race. And for the most part, I think we handled it well. You can go 3 at Atlanta, but it is very stressful too. And one thing that you guys haven't mentioned quite yet, handling comes into play a lot more at Atlanta. You can burn the tires off, and that alone makes it infinitely more stressful than either of the other super speedways on the schedule.
You definitely made the practice race stressful for me. I was leading with, I don't know, how many would you say there was to go when I wrecked? I don't know, probably 15 to go. I was leading, and Tyler was right behind me, and he dove low as we were coming through the tri-oval, and I was mirror racing and just absolutely ate the outside wall. I'm so used to a Daytona or a Talladega where if you're in a corner, as long as you hold the same wheel angle, you're fine, but that is obviously not the case when you're going through a dog leg.
That's another thing there. That tri-oval, you really have to put a lot of wheel in it to get that car to turn, whether you're on the low side or the high side. Like it is, there were times when I got sideways going through the tri-oval, which is scary.
Yeah, you've got to start feathering the throttle too, especially as you get into some pretty long fuel runs. Your tires just have no wear coming off, or have no grip coming off at turn 4. Now, obviously, this is an unpredictable race, so as we do the winner predictions, just like we did for Daytona, I'll let you guys pick 3. So, Vernon, who are you thinking are the 3 most likely to win here at Atlanta?
Most likely, probably Jordan. Corey, I'd love to throw your name in there, but you have 0 luck at these tracks. So
Yeah, please don't.
I'm going to go with you and
Ah.
you're really gonna hate me on this one. You're gonna finish last. I'm just gonna call that one right there. Just just a little bit of fun. We can look back
Appreciate
on
it.
this. We can look back
Thanks.
on this next week, and you can be like, "Ha, suck it. Didn't finish last." But I'm gonna go Jordan. I've done real well on super speedways. I haven't done like great, but I'm averaging top 10s, top 10 finish. I have one top 5, and 2 top 10s. I only think I raced 2 of them because I missed Daytona to begin the year. So I'm gonna go Clark, Jordan, and we're gonna go and throw a weird one out there. I think Simon, and I know I said he'd be the first one out. I'm gonna go Simon.
Corey,
Yeah.
who are you going to take as your 3?
Okay. So my first and foremost pick would be Garrett Walden. I think that he's going to just do what he did at Daytona, be at the right place at the right time, and win at Atlanta, advance. I'll give my second pick. I'll give it to Tyler Lehm. I think if one of those FTM cars gets behind him when it comes down to it, I could see him getting a win. And then my third pick, if I don't die, if I absolutely do not die and I am second, Eric Jeffers will get the win at Atlanta.
Real quick, when he said Corey was going to finish last, the image that popped in my head was 2 tow trucks, one with Corey and one with Michael, racing to see who got to pit road fastest. I'm gonna go with Booth, the obvious choice. Brendan Hayes or Scott.
Scott Thomas?
Yeah.
And Tyler, who are you going to take?
I mean, I'm not going to overthink this one. There's 3 guys that I think are consistently finding themselves at the front at the end of these speedway style races. It's Booth, it's Brendan, and then Vernon as well.
My 3, I am going to overthink it, Tyler. Garrett Walden, because I think Jordan Booth would rather push him to the win and have a second place than lock himself in because it just makes more sense. I guess it is in a way a knock to Garrett, but not in a mean way, is I think Jordan Booth would be smart to pick someone that he knows he would be able to beat in the next round. I think after that, I'm thinking Vernon. And finally, after that, he hasn't really had the luck this year, but I think he's good at just about every track. We'll go with the other half of the Jordan and Jordan show, and I think Wenzel has a good chance to win this week. As always, thank you all for listening, and thank you, Tyler, for joining us. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before you jump off here?
I've got my dad, my grandparents. They're in the YouTube chat every week. They're watching the streams every week, and I love them all every week.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you have family support with it. And the more viewers, the better for all of us. My parents tune in as well too. I think it's awesome that there's so many people that are supporting. I know Booth's got family in the chat. Vernon's got his brother. It's so cool to see the amount of support that this league gets. Tyler, best of luck to you in the playoffs. Hopefully you can keep your success rolling forward and keep moving on through the playoffs. Vernon, Corey, and Tony, best of luck to you 3 as well. And all of the rest of you 12 other playoff drivers, good luck. We're going to have a crazy race at Atlanta, and I'm excited to see the results. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Hey, hold on. I actually got one more thing. Hold that thought. I am going to go ahead and open up this spam folder and look what this Apex contract is all about. All right. Since I'll let it sit there long enough, I figured to go ahead and just
You can
tell
sit there a little
everybody.
longer.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and just get this out of the way right now because this.
I think
Someone-
that check's already been returned.
I think it could be a new check. Think it do a new check. Okay. So let me check this out here. Okay. All right. So, see, I'm just going to just the whole fucking Apex Motorsports once in a lifetime opportunity. First, we'd like to explore the opportunities of me driving the number car as more than likely will be going to another competitor. Okay. Didn't see that. He has done very well in that car, and it's only fitting that a caliber driver like yourself will be able to keep that car up front, contending for race wins and championships. Secondly, we'd offer you of Apex Motorsports with the freedom of selecting any of your choosing. Ooh, okay. We do have sponsors in line, but if you want to bring your sponsors with you, our team is more than happy to create a long-lasting partnership with those sponsors. And lastly, we welcome your insight on what drivers you wanted to bring to join the 2025 season and beyond, as we may not have the same driver lineup for next year. And we hope you accept our offer to drive the car and continue to further the success of yourself and Apex Motorsports in 2025. That's actually a hell of an offer. I might have to get off here and think about that for a second.
Now, I got a question for you. Are you wanting this to be public, or do I need to bleep out some of that? I mean,
we can bleep it out, some of it, and then wait to when it all goes public, see what my final decision on it is. But that's a hell of an offer.
okay.
Apex definitely won't have the same driver lineup next year.
Yeah.
So for you, those of you listening, when you heard a bunch of bleeps in that clip, that's because for the sake of Corey's privacy and Apex Motorsports privacy, we're gonna bleep that out until it's officially announced.
I can confirm that.
And I could trust Tyler that he won't say anything either.
That's a bold call, my friend.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I feel like this was a pretty great episode. We're glad we could have you on, Tyler. And thanks always to the listeners. Take care, everybody.
See you.
Later.